Hi everybody, this is Noelle from Petitti's.
Hi, I'm Jason.
And we are here in Jason's landscape now. We have visited Jason's raised bed many times before, but in his landscape he actually planted several roses behind us, different types. And so we thought it was an appropriate spot to bring out the deer repellents. Jason does have a lot of deer in the yard, so we know that there's a lot of options out there, but we wanted to go over kind of best practices for keeping deer at bay in the garden. So actually the first thing that I'd always like to mention is a physical barrier. I'm going to tell you any type of netting, fencing, chicken wire, what have you. It's really any of the barriers that you can put up, and high barriers too. We're talking 7-8 foot barriers. That will be a really good thing. If that's not an option for you, totally understandable. Jason had, you had like a 6 foot barrier around your raised beds.
Yeah, it was about 6 foot. Absolutely zero problems.
No problems. He actually changed to an electric fence, believe it or not.
It's only about that tall, but if I have a little bit of nibbling, next time that we see the garden, it's going to be right back to the 6 foot fence.
So needless to say, barrier is always your first consideration, because it's easy to use, it's easy to put up, and it's semi-permanent too. And you can take it down seasonally at the end of the growing season if you need to. Okay, then I think the next choice that a lot of people think about are repellents. And there's a lot of flavors of repellents out there, a lot of different types. So we're gonna kind of go through our favorites and just kind of go from there. So we have Plantskydd by Jason. Plantskydd comes as a granular formulation and also a liquid formulation. And also there's a concentrate, a powdered concentrate that you can mix with water. And this product is blood meal based. So what we always say with blood meal, it's been used in horticulture for hundreds of years as a high nitrogen fertilizer. So Plantskydd not only repels the deer and some rodents as well, it's labeled for rabbits and things, but it also will feed your plants. It is organic certified, it's OMRI certified, so it's a really nice option. If you've never used it before, it can be smelly, especially the first time you apply and you're not used to it. It definitely has an odor to it that you can smell. Once it's applied and dried, it really does not.
It's not bad.
But what we like about this product, and we use this at our growing facilities as well, is that it not only has a taste and a smell reaction to it, but a fear reaction. So the whole idea is that the deer move into the area, they can smell that Plantskydd, and what happens is they think a predator has moved into the area, has killed something, and so therefore they are leaving that area. So it works a good efficacy rate, usually a month to about 3 months. So it all depends on, of course, your rainfall and the amount of rainfall. So needless to say, that's a good option. The next one that we have here is called I Must Garden, okay? And this is the deer formula. It is just a liquid spray, ready to use spray. What's nice about this is it's basically all essential oils, a mixture of essential oils. It has a fairly pleasant scent for a deer repellent. Right?
Some of the repellents, just as the name implies, will repel pretty much everything, and we'll get to what we're smelling right now in a short period of time.
Right?
This actually, to me, almost smells like a salad dressing. When I used it last year, it wasn't offensive.
Right,
I mean, to me, it wasn't offensive, but
right.
It worked.
If you're sensitive with smells, you might want to try something like that. I Must Garden deer repellent, because again, there's a mint formula, there's kind of like a spice formula that has some clove in it, and so good smells all around with that one. About a month efficacy on that as well. Repels-All is another option where you have granular and also ready-to-use sprays with Repels-All. This is labeled for a ton of different pests in the garden, everything from deer to skunks to armadillo, which we don't have to worry about, of course. But so it does work on raccoons as well. So so this would be a nice option if you're having a multitude of issues, okay? And this one is mostly like garlic oil based.
Yeah.
It's very garlicky smelling, okay? I do have liquid fence. This is deer and rabbit repellent. This is just a spray liquid, and this one is putrescent egg solid, so it is quite stinky, but it has thyme oil in it as well. So kind of different, and I'm going to tell anybody, it's whatever you prefer to use. It's your prerogative, but you have to be very careful with your sprays. Again, in a monsoon season, you may have to spray a little bit more often. And we're talking about in spring, when things are emerging, when plants are just starting to emerge and just starting to leaf out, the granular products are always really good to put around the base of plant material that are just starting to push out from the ground. The liquid product is good to start spraying, but as the plant continues to grow, you have to continue to spray.
Yep.
Even though it's a month efficacy, that leaf continues to grow, and needless to say, it's not all protected, just the portion that you sprayed earlier. So you do have to continue to spray until that plant fully leaves out and is ready to go. So just be aware. I'm sorry, Jason. I gave Jason the worst smelling one. That is Coyote Urine, and it does work, believe me. We have quite a few customers that just depend on the Coyote Urine. You pour it into this small vial here, and then hang it around in the landscape, and that works very well for some customers too.
This is very, very effective. It is one of the most, how should we say, fragrant out of all of them.
Yes, absolutely.
But this works on a very similar principle as this, where your rodents, your deer, are going to smell that pheromone. They're going to smell the predator urine. This is literally, as it says, coyote urine.
Yeah.
They're going to smell that. You're going to get that fear trigger in them, and then they're actually going to leave the area. These guys you hang about 2 to 3 feet off the ground. That's typically where the deer, keep their head. About every 10 to 12 feet apart to create almost like a
barrier.
A urine fence.
Yes, exactly, exactly. It's true, though. Yeah. And we use things like the Coyote Urine. We use the granular products. If you want to just form an entire barrier around the landscape, then you go ahead and you do use the granules or something like that to provide that invisible fencing, if you will. So that's a really good thing. The last thing that I always wanted to mention is we have a lot of resources for deer and how to grow with deer in the area. And believe me, our deer resistant plant guide is one of the top favorites out there. It's available on our website. It's available in our stores. And whenever you're selecting plant material that's more deer resistant, you're always looking for fuzzy leaves. You're always looking for leathery or real thick foliage. You wanna definitely plant smelly plants. It could be a good smell like lavender. It could be a bad smell like boxwood, for example. Thorny plants from the base to the tip. If they are thorny all the way through, that's usually very good as far as resistant. Barberry, ding, ding, ding. Not roses, because roses are thorny on the inside, but their foliage and their flowers are not. So that doesn't really help them necessarily with deer when it comes to browsing. And then basically the final thing that is hard to figure out, but after you grow for a while, are any plants that have a milky sap to them. So that milky sap is a toxin, is a natural toxin. And so they believe it or not, they get a stomach ache from eating that plant, and then they remember. It's a learned behavior where they won't come back to that plant in particular. So that's a good thing too, and a good thing to know. So just keep in mind those types of things. So barrier protection, fencing, repellents, lots of options with repellents. And then of course your plant selection is very important as well. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.